Hey y'all, I'm Victor, and I'm here to show you Unit 8 of AP Biology. First are U 8.1. Oh, this was really bad. 8.1. Um, First are the animals' reactions to the environment, specifically behavioral and physiological. Simple ones like nocturnal, living, or diurnal, which is the hunting in the day. Fight or flight response, predator warnings, then you can think about kinesis, which is random movement in response to stimulus, and taxis, which is coordinated movement, which is basically you do this every day. You see the sun, it hits your eyes, too bright, move your hand in the way, that's taxis. Um, Pretty simple, pretty easy. 8.2, alright? We're gonna speed run this. I don't want to spend no 8 minutes on a video for you guys, because I don't want to do that either. 8.2 is all about trophic pyramids, illustrating the energy flow through organisms in an environment through a pyramid. You'll see that later. When an organism is eaten, only 10%, 10, very important, 10% of its energy goes to the animal that ate it. I can tell you're getting bored, okay? Yes, keep it going. So only 10% of the energy is transferred to the next trophic level. This relates to the second law of thermodynamics, which states that energy is lost when energy is transferred. Always, always. Trophic pyramid typically has 4 levels, but there can be more, maybe, possibly. There's always going to be a key organism. If that key organism goes away, the pyramid falls, the environment collapses, dead, everybody dead. Um, 4 levels, the first being producers, the second being small primary consumers, which is bugs. The third layer being smaller animals that consume those smaller organisms, the bugs. And the fourth, being the apex predators, um, like your boy. Anyway, whoa, that's not what I meant. I'm just that man. Although it's not limited to just land animals, it could also be considered oceanic organisms. So don't take everything into consideration. It can also be about fish, seaweed, crabs. I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you organisms. Write them down, memorize them, and then I'm going to show you a template of what the pyramid looks like. I want you to take a few seconds. I'm going to give you the organisms. We got grass, grasshoppers, crickets, mouse, a sparrow, and hawk. Now, using this template, create the trophic pyramid. I'll give you a few seconds, pause the video, replay it when you're done, okay? For the people who are rating, it's giving Markiplier, that one video. Yeah, stay entertained. All right, now that you're back, this is what the completed trophic pyramid looks like. Amazing art skills. I really hope it's not like backwards. The bottom layer is grass. The one above it has the grasshoppers and crickets that I mentioned. The one above that has the mouse and the sparrow. And the top one, the apex predator, is the hawk. There are some more things that can be on the trophic pyramid. This is the 10%. This has 10% going to each level. That's just to show that there's a 10% energy transfer. Where does grass get their energy? The sun. So if they include like a sun, just put that pointing towards the producer. Pretty basic. Everything gets energy from the sun. A little tidbit right there. Great job. If you got it right, good for you. You're smarty pants. This 8.3, the chapter is all about 8.3 is all about populations. Exponential and logistic growth rates are the main two. Exponential is when they're both graphs, is when the graph is just constantly going up, or I guess this way, I don't know. And it assumes unlimited resources and shelter. Logistic is kind of the opposite. There are limited resources, so at one point there will be a leveling off of the increase to show that there is a certain amount of resources being used, and there's a certain amount of organisms that can be there at the same time. I'm going to show you two graphs. I want you to tell me which one is logistic and which one is exponential. Okay, are you ready? Take a few seconds, think about it. Right. All right. Oy. What did you say? Well, if you said the one on the left was the exponential, you were right. You can tell by its just constant increase. It does not level off. The logistic one was the one that did level off. Of this one right here with my amazing art skills. Yeah. So let's move on to 8.4. There are a bunch of different limiting factors to consider with population growth, and I'm going to tell you them. Density dependent factors, limit growth due to large number of organisms within little space, focusing on overcrowding, and while density independent, think about that, factors have nothing to do with the amount of organisms in a certain area. No density. Things like predation, resource competition are density dependent, while natural disasters and climate change are independent. Now take a moment, pause the video, and answer this question. What would the ice caps melting or glaciers melting be considered? Pause the video. Okay, you unpause. If you said the density independent factor, if you said it was a density independent factor, you are correct, since it is not caused by a large population. It is caused by natural disaster or climate change. 8.5, all about organism interactions and topics like diversity, specifically Simpson's diversity index. Let's start off with a little knowledge check. Can you explain parasitism? Yes, that is back. Honors biology is back. Okay, if you said it was where one organism benefits while the other is getting hurt, you're right. Mosquito, they all deserve to die. If you said, oh wait, I already said that. Now I'll explain a few others that can be useful. Mutualism is where both organisms benefit. Now I gotta talk louder. AC's on, it's getting hot in here. That's how focused I am. Lock in. Mutualism, both organisms benefit. Commensalism, one organism benefits, the other does not gain it or lose anything. Okay, Simpson's diversity index has its own equation about diversity. I'll show you the equation. You usually do math on it. This is what it looks like. Okay, take a screenshot if you want to write it down. Very important. I'm going to explain to you what each variable meant. The lowercase n, number of individual species in a species. The capital N, the total number of organisms in the species. And the weird looking 3 is the summation. It's basically you add everything up and then you add those up. The D was the answer. And then the square, basic algebra, come on. Lock in. Okay, 8.6. This is all about biodiversity and its impact. So I'll explain some key terms. The founder's effect, a genetic drift that causes isolated groups to form new groups. Okay. New different groups. Like how Amish people separate themselves from the average American. That is a founder's effect. So think about it like a big population, little person, a few little people, they separate, they become their own little thing. The bottleneck, think of it like a bottle. If I had one, I'd use it. It is a reduction in the size of population leading to low biodiversity, low genetic diversity, not much change. Everybody's gonna have blonde hair, black eyes. As the population decreases, so does the biodiversity. Those are the most important terms to know. They are good concepts to understand, and they did appear on the AP test. This last part, 8.7, the last one, I swear, lock in. The last part focuses on habitat loss and disturbances and their effects on organisms, and they can be simpler than you think. Take a few seconds, write down any possible disturbances you can think of, then compare it to what I give you. Okay, pause the video. All right, we're in. Okay. Any natural disaster, any natural disturbance can count. Volcanic disturbance, flooding, glaciation, drought, wildfires, earthquakes can cause habitat damage and force organisms to move or become isolated. Specialist species have, two more kind of important terms. Specialist species have low tolerance to habitat change and would probably die due to these factors, while a generalist species have a higher tolerance to change and can probably survive in multiple different environments. Well, how did you do? Well, amazing, obviously. Guess what we're gonna get? 5. But this is the end of the video. It was a quick little summary just in case you need a bit of extra help. But what are we gonna get on the AP test? 100 or 5.